Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you very much, Ken Rice. Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. We do this show 7 nights a week. Every night we're here talking about all the topical things in sports specific to Pittsburgh. Bob Pompeani here. Andrew Fillipponi's up at 93.7 The Fan. And we ask you to call us on the hotline number, which is 412-575-2600. We'll begin with the Pirates. It's probably too little too late as they've fallen so far behind. Too many teams to overcome here, Andrew. But Braxton Ashcraft has emerged as the best pitcher on this staff this year. Another really good, efficient performance with only 80 pitches. I was surprised he didn't get an opportunity to complete this game. We haven't seen back-to-back complete games. I have no idea how long. I do remember John Smiley back in the day in the 90s when he had 15 in one season. You know, that ship has sailed. We don't see that anymore, but I thought he had a chance to make it back-to-back tonight.
Well, absolutely. Hopefully you can see me, Bob, and I'm not freezing up on you, and we're good to go here. Okay, good. So, yeah, it is too little too late. Braxton Ashcraft, I think, has pitched like an old-school pitcher really all year, where he attacks the strike zone. He's not afraid of contact. There was a mini run there post-All-Star break where he challenged guys and got burnt and got beat. We've seen him throw good strikes again, and quality strikes where the contact when it's made is not damaging. And happened against Detroit again tonight, 80 pitches, 8 innings. I mean, the guy is on a roll again, but unfortunately, they can't clone him and have him pitch the other 4 times. The rotation demands another starting pitcher to go. And that's kind of crazy to think that we're looking at Ashcraft now as the MVP of the Pirates pitching staff and not Paul Skeens. But that is the reality of 2026. The shame of this season is, had O'Neal Cruz stayed healthy, had Connor Griffin stayed healthy, had Ryan O'Hearn stayed healthy, and had Paul Skeens pitched like the Paul Skeens we were used to seeing the first 2 years of his career, and I think the Pirates would be easily in a playoff spot right now, Bob, not 6 games out going into tomorrow's game.
I agree, and not to make that as an excuse, but those injuries have taken a toll, and they're long-term injuries. Cruz has been out for a couple of months. He showed, right back tonight with a 2-run home run. He's at 15. He would have been easily 30-30, like Pete Crow Armstrong has done with Chicago. And Griffin was really getting, in a position to be a regular contributor. I think it took him a while, but, man, he's ramped up pretty quickly. O'Hearn, you know what he's done. So, yeah, and Skeens. So get a chance tomorrow. We'll see what he does against Detroit before they go on to a road trip, Andrew, which I think will define the rest of this season. They have Dodgers, Padres, Cardinals in succession. We'll know if they're going to be alive, at least still, or flatlined after that one, I believe.
Well, it's going to define for me, do the Pirates get to 78, 79 wins, which for people that like sports apps and those types of things, they need the Pirates to get to that number or more this season, and I agree that that's going to be a pivotal stretch for 500 or better for them. But it could easily, on this road trip, Dodgers, Padres, and Cardinals go in the opposite direction where we head into September and they're really playing out the string. And now we're talking about 76 wins, which is the high watermark of the Cherington era, 71 wins last year. And are they back in that range, which would be a colossal disappointment given what the organization said, Bob, before the season started, but also what they did in terms of making the Lau trade, the O'Hearn signing, the Ozuna signing, the Soto signing. They actually put their money where their mouth was this offseason, and for it to fail again, I think would be just a cataclysmic situation for this organization.
We ask this question every time somebody gets hot and has a good season, but you see it right below on your screen. It is our KDKA.com/Connect poll of the night. Should the Pirates give Braxton Ashcraft an extension in this offseason? Presented by Penn West University. We went through this with Cruz. Connor Griffin got it. Ashcraft's a guy that I want to see a little bit more of. I think I'm one of those people who I understand why a guy like Connor Griffin would get it, and I understand why you'd be interested in doing it. But at the same time, sometimes you can get in one of those situations. I want to see a little bit more from him. Very impressed with him. Would you do something in the offseason, or would you wait?
Unless, I hate throwing the team-friendly label around because that makes it sound like they're trying to take advantage of a player or something. But I'm a firm believer in baseball, especially when you're in the Pirate situation. A rock-solid way to get yourself in a bad spot, a quagmire, is to give out long-term deals to starting pitchers because starting pitchers are volatile. We see it with Mitch Keller. That was hailed as a great move by the Pirates. That contract extension has been a disaster for them. They'd love to get out of that contract if they could. They give Francisco Liriano a 3-year deal. It was so bad by the end they were trading prospects with him to get rid of it. When they gave Nova an extension, it ended up being a mistake. So, look, there's always exceptions to the rule, but, Bob, imagine if they had, before the season started, just to play a game, imagine if they had signed Skeens to a $300 million extension. And we would have been like, oh my God, finally the Pirates are doing it. And to watch him go out and pitch like this, that would look like there was some,
and that's exactly
sticker shock and buyer beware on it.
I, like you, agree. I want to wait and see more before I do it because the Keller thing really rings true. That's the one thing that at the time looked good, didn't work out so far, and now they'd rather figure out a way to get out from under it. When we come back, Andrew, we're going to open up the phone lines at 412-575-2600. Also, Roger Goodell has indicated that the NFL is going to go global in some time in the future here. But certainly, they're going to have teams in other countries. What do you think about that? And one ex-Steeler goes into New York for another ex-Steeler. It's all coming up right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night. As you see, Braxton Ashcraft, 8 solid innings, only 5 hits. One mistake was a home run given up to Callahan, and 4 strikeouts, but 80 pitches, 61 of those are strikes. Andrew, before we get to the lines, other thing of the day, Roger Goodell thinking globalization of the game. Got a lot of different texts and tweets on this one. This is True Fan, who says, the international games are one of the many things I despise about Goodell. At least if a team is based in that city, no other team loses its home game, so it does not. You get to a point, this tweet goes on, but bottom line is, most of the ones I've seen do not like this. Are you a fan of eventually having NFL teams in other cities across the world?
Am I a fan of it? Maybe not, but I know that it's eventually going to happen because they look at the NFL as more and more a global game, and in order to grow it to that point and add to their wealth and add to their dominance, they need to expand out. I think outside of the United States because we're a saturated football market. There's only so much more popular the NFL can get in the United States. It's already the most watched thing on television across the board. So there's really nowhere to go but down in the United States. So the growth potential is internationally, and the way to do that is to give them more skin in the game and not just have random games played there. It's to eventually have multiple teams there. So I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I wouldn't be surprised if, we see a day where there's 6, 8 teams in Europe and there's multiple divisions in each conference with international teams, Bob.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, although I'm not sure if that's the best thing. I understand why you do it. I understand how much money's involved. But at the same time, how many teams are we talking about now and how many players? Seems like sometimes there's a shortage of players to begin with 17-game seasons, soon to be 18, maybe 20. This is going to really tax, I think, the product at some point because of, so many injuries over the course of 20 games that ever gets that high.
No, you're probably right about that. There's definitely going to be a point where, it probably starts to go backwards and fans say enough is enough. This is too much football, but I don't think we're there yet. The ratings don't indicate that. Bob, I heard a rumor about Thursday night's game, and you can confirm this if you want, but that basically the Steelers and Packers exhibition game that you did a masterfully job of calling, as you always do, that the ratings for that were higher than any Pirates regular season game on cable this year and any Penguins game from this season, regular season or playoffs. And we're talking about games that aren't even, as Aaron Rodgers put it, real football yet. And that speaks to just the demand and popularity of football, not only here in Pittsburgh, but I'm sure that's true of other markets with preseason football ratings.
Would I be shocked? No, we don't have the official ratings yet. We're still waiting to get them. When they happen, I'll let you know about them for sure. Meanwhile, we have these tweets. Rob Polinsky says Pirates have now found their real ace. And then Uncle June says Ashcraft is tied to the Pirates until 2032. There's no urgency at all.
Uncle June?
Uncle June.
Uncle June was from Sopranos. He was a great character on that show. I loved Uncle June.
Right? So you may well have him.
I loved Uncle June.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's too soon to make that. I know a lot of people get excited about it, but no, why put all that money into a guy at this point? Let him go. Let him cook, and we'll see what happens. Let's go to our number one Cochrane Go One Better caller of the night tonight. It's David in Finleyville. Hey, David.
Good evening, Bob, Andrew. How are you guys doing tonight? I got a question
Hi there.
for both of you. Good. What do you think about Pat Fryermuth's stats this year, seeing that McCarthy likes to use 3 tight ends like he did with Green Bay? What kind of stats do you think he might have this year? I'll hang up and listen.
Well, I know that Rob Brentanian liked him and the way they used him back in the day in Green Bay, and we saw that on display the other night. I think Fryermuth should be a major weapon this year, Andrew. I really do. I think he has everything you'd want. He's very sure-handed. I think Brian Archelico, their offensive coordinator, he comes from a background of tight ends. That's what he does. He was a tight end coach in multiple spots. So I would be shocked if I gave you a number of 80 receptions. I know they got wideouts who are good. They have some guys in the backfield. That may be a lot. Let's say I say 65, over under.
Well, I would say over on that one. I think Ferguson, the tight end in Dallas the last year there under McCarthy, I want to say he had 86 targets. And I think Fryermuth had only 54 last year and only played 51% of the snaps, which was a career low for him going back to his rookie year. Darnell Washington played more snaps than Pat Fryermuth did. So I think that'll change, even though Washington got a nice contract this offseason too. And I don't know. I mean, he's usually been a 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end guy, even 4 wide receivers at times. But I think to get the best 11 players on the field, you've got to go multiple tight ends. And if you do that, is that going to be at the expense of, say, Jeremy Bernard or Roman Wilson? It probably should be, Bob, based on the players the Steelers have. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think Fryermuth is primed for a much better season. In fact, I'm going to throw this out there. I would not be surprised if at the end of the year, either a running back or tight end leads the Steelers in catches. I'm not saying yards, but I'm saying I think catches is possible. I don't know. I've got some concerns about Pittman's fit in this offense, even though I like the trade. And I wonder how they're going to use DK Metcalf this year, Bob, opposed to how he was used last year when he had a career low in yards.
Yeah, and last year we saw Kenneth Gainwell, of all people, emerge as the MVP. And I think he led them in reception. So who knows how this is going to go. They have a lot of weapons, though. Let's go to Steve, who joins us on line 4. Hey, Steve, how are you? Well, obviously he disconnected, so we won't go there. Instead, how about Chris in Penn Hills? Chris, you're on.
Hey, Bob. Hi, Andrew. Yeah, I'd like to get your opinion. I mean, how would you think about shutting Connor Griffin down for the year, seeing that we're not really in it? Okay? I'd like to hear your opinion.
I wouldn't do that just yet. He's optimistic that he could be back by the beginning of September. Again, we'll see how these next couple of weeks go. But if he's healthy let's say they climb to a certain point where they still have an opportunity, I'm sure he's going to be chomping at the bit. I think if I'm the Pirates, as long as he's medically cleared, I want to see what he can do coming back from that. Just like O'Neal Cruz did. He went through a long stretch here, Andrew, came back tonight and hit a home run.
Yeah, I don't want him to go from, say, early July all the way until next March without actually, as I say this out loud, Bob, who knows when baseball gets played again? Yeah, so I would absolutely want to play him in September, okay? And not just rest him for a season that might not even happen in 2027. So unless there's a real belief that playing him can add or further the injury and make it worse, I'm absolutely letting Connor Griffin play, even if the Pirates are buried in the standings in September.
Chuck is in Uniontown, one of our favorite callers. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah, good evening, fellas. Thanks. Do you think the success or failure of the rest of the Pirates season will determine what they do? I mean, I'll say it this way. If they fall again to 71 or lower, as far as wins are concerned. Do you think that means another scrap and rebuild, something the fan base would absolutely not be receptive to at all? Or do you think there's still that they will look at the next season, whatever it is, 27 and 28, and still try to be contenders? And just overall, do you think there's still positivity come out of this season?
Chuck, I realize where they are in the standings, but there was, as Andrew said, they did everything they probably could do at the beginning of this season. Big trade, a nice trade with Mason Montgomery and Mangum, along with Lau. That was one of Ben Cherington's best. Last year it was bringing in Horwitz. There were some good things here, and they spent some money. Now, obviously they have problems. They waited too long in the bullpen. But Andrew, when I come back, I'll get your take on that. We have to go to a break. But I think there is good. Will they justify it and say that's enough to keep this current regime around? I'll ask Andrew that next as we continue right here on the Ireland Contracting number one Conference Sports Showdown. We do both shows here, but this is the Sports Call. We're back in a flash. All right, Pony, we're back. Your answer to the question, what will the Pirates do at the end of this season if they miss the playoffs? When I'm talking about a regime change or not.
Yeah, well, I think if we are in a situation where baseball is likely to get played next year, I think if they finish, 4 or 5 games under 500, Cherington is gone. I think they'd have to finish right around 500 or better for him to be back and feel like you had still the right guy on the job and the right guy in command of things. But Bob, I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to get fired. I don't think that they're going to pay 2 guys to not work next year. So,
well, they did it before.
I think he
with
might
Huntington and Clint Hurdle. They did do that.
But I'm saying the guy that replaces him isn't going to have anything to do because there's no games.
Well, they could structure a contract differently if they had to, couldn't they? Just say, hey, we'll pay you this, and then once you start, we'll get to this. I guess.
It's just a dark cloud that kind of hangs over the sport right now, Bob.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is, and your best guess says what? It's going to be. I have a feeling this is going to be one that goes a lot longer than people may think. However, if the owners are, stern in their belief, I don't know if they are. Most of the time, they fall apart and players get what they want.
Bob, I cannot wait for 7 o'clock Friday night to see you back in that beautiful broadcast location at Acrisure, getting ready to call.
It is a good location, right?
Cade Klubnik versus Drew Aller for all the preseason
You think he'll
marbles.
start? I have a feeling you're going to see more of those two, maybe at the expense of Mason this week. It depends on what they're going to do, but if you want to get a good evaluation, that's the way to do it.
See you, Bob. Good luck with that. You always do a great job.
Thanks, Pony. Appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for joining us. Do it again tomorrow right here, 10:35. We appreciate your support.